What is your favorite anime?
Mine's Skrillex.
I'm so distanced from human sensibilities and stuff.
Was getting caught part of your plan?
Put your tray tables up and your seat in the full upright position, because this is the Flight Plan, the official podcast of Big Guy For You Scanlations, Japan's #1 bane posting manga scanlation podcast. Join the flight crew, Tom and Aidan, as we bantz about all the anime, the manga, and the scanlation content. What are we talking about today, Tom?
Today is a very special episode. It's not an anniversary, but it's a celebration episode, because this is coming out on the same day
that you're coming out.
Chapter.
Excellent.
No.
It is Pride Month.
I was going to say that'll never happen, but that's like trapping me in the when did you beat your wife, or when did you stop beating your wife kind of question. For the record, I'm not gay. We'll talk about this in the Traps episode.
I think that's playing your entire argument there.
Well, I mean, that could technically go in either kind of side of the argument. Like,
I could see that.
Because whether you say traps are gay or not, you would still say that you're not gay, right?
Yeah, you're right. It. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's true. We didn't ostricize any fans.
I haven't picked my side yet for that debate.
I haven't either. I think I have a side.
The topic.
I've been extensively researching.
I need to read what all the great minds and on both sides think about it.
You got Aristotle and Plato.
Yeah, and no, I don't know any anime people, so I was gonna say like some anime celeb.
Did you, bro?
That's it. Yep, did you, bro?
That's the only one we know. Kurosai.
Yeah. I guess he counts. But
Kurosai
anyway,
is
today
probably pro-trap.
I don't know. I've only seen that like one of his videos.
What about the illustrious Professor Sam Hyde, or the time-traveling demon Sam Hyde?
I still have yet to see an inconvenient anime. It was too painful. I had to stop like 1 minute.
I've only seen parts of it. Yeah, it's really bad. And the fact that everybody gets up and walks out and he keeps going. Yeah, it's brutal. It's the best. It really is. Nothing's gonna be better than Paradigm Shift, and his stand up in that one bar. That was pretty great.
I don't remember it, to be honest, because he's done a few. But anyway, what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about.
I think we're talking about nothing. It's a show about nothing.
The episode the day that this episode drops, which is in 2 days, we're recording on a Friday. Spoilers.
They're gonna dox us.
Is the same day. That doesn't even make sense. It's the same day that the final chapter of Hyakka no Shirushi comes out.
Ooh,
so
boy.
We're gonna do an episode on that. There's also. I don't know. I guess people who listen and read, they probably read it first. So you'll know, because I'm going to talk about this in the end page. But there's another chapter 1 of a new manga dropping right now. Big Guy For You presents. We might talk about that at the end of the episode.
That's going to be the end.
If you're joining us from that, like this is your first exposure, then it's going to be a spoiler episode if you care. But whatever. Who cares?
A spoiler
Go read
for
stuff. Go listen.
Hyakka.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's called.
That's great. I'm going to put that on the soundboard.
So anyway, I guess... Oh, shoot. Hold on. Before we get started.
Uh-oh. I know what's coming now.
What is it?
It's our weekly segment.
Mm-hmm.
Corrections
Corner. This one's a quickie. And it's not a correction, but it's a clarification corner this time. I think it was last week, actually, that we were talking about that one term, that like kind of trope where it's like the girl is like useless trash, but with a moe feel to it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm actually interested in hearing more about this if you know it better.
I just have the name for it because I couldn't remember it at the time, but I looked it up. I remembered it right after we finished, of course, but I looked it up to confirm. Ponkotsu is what it is. I'm looking at my dictionary definition. Piece of junk, especially dismantled or broken down car, worn out article, or hitting with a fist or striking. No, not like that. No. It's more like, aqua. Excuse me, aqua like, from
like kind of
Konosuba.
Would you say obsolete in a sense, or would it just be more just like broken down, useless, I guess?
It's not even broken down from like the examples I've looked at online. It seems just kind of like just completely useless, like garbage, like incompetent.
Useless, but still some percentage lovable, I believe. Is that would be?
Well, yeah, like with a hint of moe, it's like
Yeah.
it's like she's so trash that like it's almost like a pity that you feel like
Yeah.
it's like it's pathetic in a
That's
cute
how I
way
feel
kinda
towards
thing.
Aqua. Yeah, it's like it's
Yeah,
very
that's
sad.
that's her like trope. Yeah,
And it's also
yeah, that was
does
the
it
corrections corner.
with Aqua in particular, there's a sense of delusion because she still carries herself as a god.
Yes, and I think that contributes a lot to it, to be
Yeah,
honest.
but that's not normal in the trope. That's normal with her character. Is that right?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. I didn't recognize most of the examples when I did an image search of the term. She was really
bummer.
the only one I could recognize.
I should have looked. I bet I would have known some of them.
Yeah, that's true. We need to start sharing our show prep to collaborate.
Then it's
coordinate.
like we'll already know what we want to talk about, and it won't be fresh. It won't be the first
We
time.
just spent like 10 minutes tangenting before we even got to what we were talking about. I don't think
what
that's
the
an
people
issue.
want.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just
They're
saying I don't think
demanding
that's an issue. So yeah, that was the correction corner. I guess we can get into the meat and potatoes now. I figured we would start off just kind of giving a brief history overview of how it is that this manga became scanlated. I was hoping for that's a great idea.
Yeah, that is a fantastic idea. I'm so
wow,
on
even
board.
better.
I've buckled myself in. The train is a moving down the tracks.
Okay.
We're gonna hop on or we're gonna get run over. Let's go. I'm
Interesting
excited.
metaphor. So let's take this back in the
it
time
back.
machine of the mind.
What we do here is go back.
Oh, I was referencing some obscure E3 thing from like 5 years ago, which might actually coincide with this. It might have been around the same year, 2013.
It was a simpler time.
Picture a younger me, 5 years younger, fresh-eyed, full-faced. I don't know expressions.
Before you put on a mask.
I was wearing a different mask at that time because I had just come off of publishing my first scanlation under a different name that I probably won't disclose for no reason,
kids.
really. Yeah. I really don't have a reason to be cagey about it, but I don't know. It adds to the mystique.
Nick Cage scans.
I wish. How come you weren't helping me when I was trying to come up with good names? Could have been Nick Cage scans this whole time.
That would have been really great.
I said, "Oh, what about Big Guy for you?" It's like, yeah, that's kind of dumb. I was like, yeah, I'll go with that if I can't think of anything else.
You came up with that before we even decided to do this. I didn't know about the scanlation name until after.
No, I did tell you the name. Like before I could come up with the name, I was like, maybe I'll just go with Big Guy for you.
That was before I was involved and cared about it.
No. Well,
But
maybe
look at it this
cared.
way. We got a comment the other day that's like, I read this manga just for the end pages. So
That's true, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was a great little
Because
comment.
they're fun to do. But
And
anyway,
we-
I was just coming off of my first. Yeah, screw your tangent. I'm getting back on track. I just finished my first release and I was feeling good. The scanlation fever was strong in me still, and I wanted to capitalize on that momentum. So I was going through one of my old raw downloading sites. I think it was Raw first, but I think that's closed by now. It got shut down. And I saw this, and I was like, "Oh, this looks all right. It's got a cute girl on the cover. It's 1 volume in length."
Which our dedicated
completed.
listeners will remember that the number one thing when you're picking a manga to scanlate is cute girls.
That's true, or at least one cute girl, because there's only one girl on the cover in this case. Yeah, so I downloaded it legally for anyone listening. Who cares?
You mean
Lawyers
you
or
downloaded it
whatever.
from Barnes & Noble?
BarnesandNoble.jp.
You went to Japan to buy. And
I got on the next flight right then and there.
Yeah.
Booked my flight, hopped on board, and then so I have a log that I keep of my Japanese studies. I call it my autism log, and you might call it a diary if you were looking to degrade me, but I don't.
It's not a diary. It's a journal.
It's a log, which is scientific. Excuse you. Journals are for non-gay.
I was
young males.
referencing the Doug meme.
No, I know. That doesn't play with our young audience, our Gen Z audience.
Well, we have a diverse age bracket all the way since we're boomers ourselves, but we also, we get so much response from Generation Z that we run the whole gambit. Anyway, you went to Japan and picked up the manga.
I picked up the manga, and according to my log, I translated or completely scanlated, in fact, the first chapter in 12 hours. So I assume that was within one day. I don't know. It's not clear. But I kind of call BS on that because, that was really fast for me 5 years ago. I was a retard, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But,
maybe you just did it wrong.
Well, I kind of did in some parts. I have an embarrassing anecdote to share about that. I'll get to that in a second. I'll just finish this up. And, so chapter 1 was 30-something pages. So that was 20 minutes a page, including cleaning. I don't even do that now. I'm really slow. So maybe I had the youth energy. I don't know. I guess I could talk about my quality because obviously 5 years ago my translation skills are not as God Adonis level as they are now.
Right.
I'm the peak.
It's top tier. We didn't start out as the Japan's #1 scanlation team. It took a little bit to grow.
I'm climb the rungs. Started
I'm humble
at
enough to
third.
admit that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it started at third, and then it was just a couple releases until we got #1. But we did
good
start at the
releases.
top. Yeah. With hard work and dedication. You too can do it. I mean, not as good as us, but
it's true. And in fact, actually, when it came time to release chapter 1, when I restarted the manga, or I guess officially started the manga, because I should clarify, when I did that one chapter 5 years ago, I did not publish it. I was going to wait until I finished the whole volume to publish anything. Eventually, when I started to pick it up this time in 2018, I changed maybe half of it, because half of it was really bad. Just sentences were just poorly translated, or not super poorly, but just
Are you gonna release it now?
No, I've lost it. Actually, I do have it, but no, I'm not going to.
Paywall members can get a sneak peek of the first couple.
PayPal me 100 shekels. I don't know what the conversion rate is, but I hope it's good.
Yeah. it's like 2 pennies.
I have a feeling it's 18 or some weird number. I don't know.
I didn't even know that was real.
Yeah, shekels are real. It's the Israeli currency.
Oh, well, the more you know.
It's not just a meme. It's real. Memes are real. Don't forget that.
Don't let your memes become dreams.
And
that's Shia LaBeouf.
That's true. He did. Wow, dude. It's when I think of Shia LaBeouf, I think of He Will Not Divide Us Now. I totally forgot that he used to be a thing before that. He's had arcs to him.
Yeah, I know. He's crazy. He's crazy. He even got arrested because this was right after the election, and if you don't know, Shia LaBeouf was on the team that did not score a presidential victory, and he was really upset, and he was drinking himself to death in a bar, and he got into a fight. The bartender, I think, cut him off. No more alcohol for you.
I thought he was at a restaurant. I thought he didn't get French fries and he called the guy racist or something.
Oh, maybe that was it. I know it was
might be
completely
2 different
ridiculous.
instances.
Well, he's been arrested multiple times, or at least twice.
I know he assaulted somebody at his own art installation that He Will Not Divide Us Home. But yeah, interesting character, that guy. I think I'll just I don't have a good segue to that embarrassing story, but you know what? If this weren't a podcast, if we weren't doing this for the views, I wouldn't share this story. That's how bad it is.
Well, here's the thing. Shia LaBeouf has been an embarrassment, so why don't we relate to him by saying something that has embarrassed you?
So this is to illustrate how poor my translation skills are. How much of a rookie I was, you might say. How wet behind the ears. There was a scene, I think in chapter 2, where Akira is looking at a dog, and he's like, "Stop looking, stop giving me that stupid face," or something. I think actually what I ended up translating it to eventually was, "Wipe that stupid look off your face," right?
Yes.
Do you remember that at all?
No.
It was pretty early on.
I don't even remember. Is this the...
You read it, right?
You made a mistake on our recent release.
No. This was when I first tried it 5 years ago. This was when I was trying to translate it.
I didn't know this was that old.
Yeah, that's the whole thing I was saying. Like, I did chapter 1 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And just sat on it.
That's more interesting than that. Yeah, so all
I
you
must
people
not have
are
been
like...
clear enough, or I hope it's a failure of listening comprehension on your part. I hope I wasn't just...
Well, we'll let the
completely
audience
unclear.
decide. Press 1 if you're on Team Aidan.
Press nothing if you're on Team Tom, because since we don't have a chat, I win.
I've got the super chats coming in right now. You're not getting a cut of that?
What do you mean? Why would you ask me? If you're getting them, you would know.
Oh, well, if you don't know anything. I got the Streamlabs, the super chat, and a Patreon already set up.
Yeah, but you read the manga as prep for this, right?
Yes.
It was early on in chapter 2. I mean, you might not remember. It was half a panel on like one page.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember there being a dog.
Oh, he shows up a couple times, but there's a dog, and he's just staring, kind of, cute dog face. But Akira was upset because he's been planting those flowers all day, and he's like, wipe that stupid look off your face. Oh, here we go. He says something like haratatsu, right?
Okay.
Which is kind of like slang / casual
Ebonics.
form, of a term that means
It's Creole.
that upsets me, that makes me angry, something like that, right?
It really activates my almonds.
So he was saying, like, your face really angers me. And since it's kind of like an abbreviated form of, I think the actual, like, form of it is like haragatatsu, right? Like with that particle in there. I didn't know the word. And I especially didn't know the slang word. And my dictionary didn't know the slang form either. So I looked it up. I did a Google search at the time. I was a Google guy. I'm not too proud to admit that. And
We're Ask Jeeves. We're a dog pile podcast.
It depends on who pays more that week, but we fluctuate. And I saw like a soccer player. Like that was the only hit that I could get. So I thought like he was saying like, I thought this was a pop culture reference to like some famous soccer player.
Oh wow!
Like
what'd you phrase it as then?
I think it was something like his face looks like the soccer player. It was so terrible.
Oh yeah, that's not great.
And maybe that's why I stopped scanlating. I can't trace it back to that, but in retrospect, I think that makes for a compelling story.
It's one of those subconscious things, yeah. It's haunted you to this day. Now you've got it off your chest. You've been in confession now. You've released your sins into the world. I absolve you of guilt.
Oh, thank you very much. Now I can go to translator heaven now.
Yeah.
With all the waifus.
I'm the
but only one waifu, I mean.
Well, it depends.
I don't believe in harems.
It's the big harem in the sky.
No such thing.
That's where all the beta male protags go to.
I've got another similar kind of weird translation story like that. I don't know, because this was also have a panel. You might not remember this one either. It was like one of the middle chapters where the dad had like a giant chef hat on. He's like trying to make a gag or something.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I
didn't either. So I had no idea. I looked it up. So I ended up making a Swedish chef joke because later on, like the assistant, I don't even remember her name. They say it like once in the whole manga. She like is wearing the hat and she says "bork bork," and she's doing like the weird like Italian answer.
She's doing the Italian. How Italians do this.
But like, so I was like, I have no idea what to do with this joke, so I just said "bork bork," making a Swedish chef
That's
joke. I guess I could have done like some weird Italian, like, oh, it's a me spicy meatball, because she was kind of doing some weird Italian hand thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
So, it's you encounter stuff like that, and
yeah, I mean,
you really
I see
don't
it
know
a
how
lot.
to handle it.
I see it a lot where somebody will not try it. People don't know this, but you do spend hours and hours on like trying to get puns right. I know we went back and forth on one of the puns for a while. Maybe we can talk about that in a second. But
I
people
think we will,
do.
yeah.
There's a lot of scanlators who do really well at that, and then there are some that eventually just it takes too much time, and they kind of give up, and they're like, "This is what it is in Japanese."
Translator
and put a translator note, yeah. I mean, which is fun. You know, it's free. They're trying. I'm sure they tried to do it, but maybe something didn't come to mind. You know,
like I think a good way to handle it. A good way to handle it is like where you try to do like the best pun equivalent you can do, and then like on the end page say something like, "Here's actually, you know, what it said," and that kind of thing. Like explain it more literally there, so it's optional.
Do you want to talk about our?
I think I'll do that for that. We'll get to that later, I guess.
I'll forget about it.
I won't, because it's on my to-do list, on my topic list. I guess really all I have left, unless we want to actually talk about the manga and our opinions on it, in terms of like inside baseball stuff, all I have left is other stuff like that, just like translation mishap stories. Do you remember when they're in that tree, that one scene where they get teleported inside that tree? And then later on, when the old god girl Aomi, when she's talking about like her sacred forest, both of those locations have the same Japanese word. It's it doesn't translate well. It's yorishiro. Here's a definition: object representative of a divine spirit, object to which a spirit is drawn or summoned, object or animal occupied by a kami, which if you don't know, kami is like a god, which is actually the term that they use for these characters. Yeah, so
what about like shrine?
Well, I think shrine has too specific a meaning. I went with like sacred. No, I think for the tree, I think I said divine place of dwelling, and for the
that's not good.
For the forest, it's okay.
You could have said divine tree, or like
that would have been fine. I went that route with the second one. I said sacred forest.
Yeah, that's fine. That's good. That's a perfect.
After I released the first chapter where that term was used, I was like, "Ooh, sacred glaive would have sounded so much or glade rather. Glaive is like a weapon.
Sacred glaive. Demon hunters up here.
But sacred glade, I thought would have been pretty cool, but whatever.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, and there's just tons of stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you noticed the lack of honorifics.
I did, because I like to leave them in, but you don't like to put honorifics, so...
I made one exception, though, and you might have noticed it in Chapter 9 and 10, I started to use a couple.
What changed your mind?
Just kind of, like, the character of Boa, I felt like kind of talked kind of old school-ish.
Yeah,
so I was like,
so
she could say
honorifics have a
Master
purpose.
Akira or Lady Aomi or something, instead of, like, Aomi-sama.
Yeah.
So... And actually, here's a cool thing. Where she was saying Master Akira, it was like Akira Dono. And Dono is, if you've ever played Final Fantasy IX, there's a knight character, Steiner, and he calls Vivi, which is a little black mage guy, Master Vivi. But in Japanese, it's Vivi Dono. So I just stole that one-to-one translation.
Excellent.
It fit enough.
Well, that's good, yeah. So it's like, it's precedent. It's like legal precedent.
Yeah,
that's what it's translated
that's what
to.
it is. It's Japanese translation common law.
But yeah.
And actually, the character of Boa, this is another case where I requested your advice, but we couldn't quite figure something out, so I just settled for something. Her name in the Japanese is Hebi, which means snake. Like, you know, just like a garden snake or something. Obviously, you're not going to call a girl character Snake. And when when her name is first used in the series, in the manga, there's like a picture of a snake. Like,
yeah, I saw that.
So like it kind of makes you think like if you're reading it in Japanese, she's like, oh my envoy snake or whatever. You know, it's like, oh my snake is messing up, acting out. So I had to come up with a name that could work for a girl, but also when you first see it, you think, oh, she's talking about a snake. Mm-hmm. So Boa was the best thing I could come up with.
That's really good. So without remembering, we had this conversation and reading the manga fresh. I did.
You forgot.
Yeah. Well, no, I forgot all about it. But like, I was like, oh yeah, that's and you see the picture and the name's Boa, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. So Boa was a snake. In fact, it was a surprise to me when the girl popped in, and I was like, oh, that's Boa. I see. That's cool. And
other runner-ups were Viper, which I thought was actually
it's too masculine.
Like dominatrix or something, or adder, but that's not really a name. But if I never came up with Boa, it probably would have been adder.
I like Boa. I think you'd.
I think it was the right choice. I guess a couple more terms was like imprint. Like something I really don't like about this whole manga is like there are so many weird like terminologies, and there's so much like
spiritual terms. Like
there's so much. Well, not just that, but I feel like they're manga specific. It's like world building lore. Like this is a 10 chapter manga, you can't try to cram so much lore into it. Like half of it felt like it was lore explanations.
Well,
And-
it's not so much lore explanations. It was kind of like in context, where it's like we have to go around and plant our imprint, or like I remember in the later chapters, there's he's erasing our imprints, and it's like, okay, so I get the context of all of that, like just
Sure.
from saying that sentence.
Sure, yeah, but I mean, there were quite a number of pages. Maybe it just felt like there were a whole lot because I was scanlating them and they were heavy on text.
Maybe.
But it felt like there was a lot of like explanatory stuff.
Well, like I guess there was, because the little god girl was explaining it to the dude all the time. You know, she was explaining like how the gods worked and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it felt like even like in like the last chapter, they were like coming out with like new explanations and stuff. I was like,
Coming out with new characters in the last chapter. That's one of my notes. That's one of my
you know,
notes.
I haven't done the end page yet. That's like that and the two afterward pages I haven't done yet. But you've otherwise read like a prequel or like a first draft.
Mm-hmm.
So this is new for you, but I guess anyone listening will know this. For the end page, I'm gonna do like when she smacks him or whatever, and he yells at her. When Akira's yelling at like the little redhead spirit creature thingy, he's gonna say something like, "Somebody get this hothead out of here."
That's pretty good.
Because
I like that, yeah.
If you look at the back cover, like her head is like, or her hair rather, is kind of like red pinkish. So,
You could also do one where the little thing says, "Do you feel in charge?" and hits him or something.
I've already done that though, but in Antarctica Girls, and so far I haven't cross-pollinated any.
It's
I
a
haven't
matter of
reused any
time.
jokes. I think I'm gonna try my best to not, because
Yeah.
I might
That's
retire the plane scene quotes.
And then switch to something else.
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned it to you privately, but I want to switch to well, I don't know if I should say it or not.
No, we'll keep it a secret. It's all our paywall members will be able to hear it, in advance.
Well, no, you can read the new chapter of the new manga that we're going to talk about.
Oh, excellent.
in a
So
second.
you've already switched to it?
Yeah, I haven't finished that chapter 1 yet, but I have a couple days for it, and I already have stuff in mind for it.
Ooh, that's a really good teaser to get somebody to go listen to or go watch the new manga. Go read the new manga. You got to see what the end
You
page
can either
is.
listen to it nor watch it, but you can read it.
That's the reason why people read our scans, apparently.
At least one of them, yeah.
Yeah,
And
at least
God
one guy.
bless that guy for it.
Yeah.
I guess we could kind of wrap up like our opinions on the manga. Like,
So I actually think it
Yeah,
actually
go ahead.
probably would have made more sense to explain a little bit about the manga before we started talking
yeah, it
about
would
it.
have.
Because
Whatever,
we're
we
talking
fly
about
by the
like,
seat of
plot
our
points.
pants.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, this thing was going to be a spoiler fest anyway, so if you haven't read it, like, it's not going to make sense anyway. So we didn't
That's
need
true.
to explain it. This
Well,
is for true fans only.
Let's do a this is like a behind the scenes episode. Yeah. So if you were to if somebody were to take this recording and clip out a couple minutes of it, how would you pitch the manga? How would you describe it in a way that people would want to read it?
Oh, I'm so bad at this. I was hoping you would give an explanation. I don't know. It takes place in a I don't actually know the time frame. I should know this.
Jeez, this is fantastic.
It's like 80s or 90s or something, maybe. And it's like it's a tiny village in Japan that's like kind of burgeoning. Is that the word? Where they're like,
Yes.
It's small, but they're building it up. And since it's such a tiny new town, I guess in Japan everything has a god associated with it. So like there's a tiny new god that just kind of like gets born, I guess, to correspond with the birth of the town, basically.
And she's adorable.
And she's kind of not powerless, but close enough, because she's like, I guess
Baby
only
god.
a year or so old. Yeah, she's like a baby god.
A lowly
She looks
god.
like a little girl though, not like a baby. Yeah, that's accurate, but that has lewd connotations that I feel this.
Yeah,
Bill,
this
don't fit.
this manga's not lewd at all. It's very
very
wholesome.
pure.
It's good because
Yeah.
we're a Christian scanlation group. So
Yeah, it's a Christian
it's very
manga.
important. It's a Christian podcast as well.
Yeah, and it kind
Real
of
quick,
goes
you
through
sound
like kind of misadventures, their daily adventures. The whole goal, kind of, their overarching mission is to plant these little flowers, which are called imprints, and they amplify the range of the god's power. The little goddess girl's Hyakka is her name. That's where the title comes from. Here's an inside baseball. Shirushi, which is the other part of the title, is basically what I called imprints. But I mean, a more direct translation is like mark, sign, symbol, like crest, maybe something like that. I don't even know where I got. That would have been so funny. I don't know where I got the word imprint from, but I thought it was cool enough. So yeah, they plant those, try to expand her power, and help the city, the town become happier, more well-adjusted. And
so you're saying a tiny lowly magical god comes into town with the help of kids, makes the town all happy. Isn't that a
kinda? Yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a quick.
I don't know. I don't like to use the word lowly.
Yeah, but our fans like it.
Probably. Here, I'll go to the description that I translated actually from some description I found on some Japanese sales website. Quote, Hyakka is the guardian deity of the newly developed Ayasaki village. She's a freeloader who lives in the village's only cafe, Warabi, which is, the cafe. It's poorly translated, this sentence. Like Ayasaki itself, her powers are still developing. As such, she has to draft the son of Warabi's owner, Akira, into helping her with her daily efforts. Boom.
Aw, it's adorable, and everybody will like it. What did you think of the manga? Obviously, you like it because you translated it.
I don't know if I do. I like it fine enough.
I'm going to leave that out of the clip.
Keep it in. I like it enough. Yeah, it's fine. It's cute.
Yeah, it's it's something. It's fun. It's a fun little read, and it's not going to take you forever to read. It's like something you do in maybe a couple minutes. Yeah, it's 10 chapters.
It's 200 pages.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's like 20 minutes, if that. If you're a speed reader, you can finish in 15. It's just a fun little story that you're gonna love. You're gonna love. You could read it to your kids if you ever decide to graduate from your body pillow. Like, it'll be fantastic.
By the way, I don't think there is a body pillow of any of these characters.
No, it's.
I went to Pixiv to look up art, and I think there were like 5 entries, and they all looked like they were drawn by like 5-year-olds, which is kind of adorable in and of itself.
Yeah, maybe we could. So I went to read some of this is a little bit of a segue. I went to read some One Piece the other day because I was like 2 years behind, and I caught up. But like with the big 3 and stuff, they show like their fans' fan art. Like, people send in fan art, and still you'll see a badly drawn picture of Naruto, but it's still cool. It's cool that it's like, yeah. So if you guys have any fan art you want to send in, fan art of me would be really good. But
nobody even knows what you look like.
There's a clip of us sitting on a couch in one of the clips, so you got to go look for it.
Oh, I hope you didn't. I hope you didn't dox us. There's no footage of us on a couch.
You'll go see it.
Okay, I'm not up to date on watching the videos, I have to say.
Yeah, I'm not either. But I do like the manga.
I was going to say something.
What were you going to say?
I don't remember. What were we just saying before the couch?
I don't remember, but I'll give you a little bit of my like. So I liked the manga. It was cute. It was a cool little thing. There's parallels between like. So this is obviously spoilers, even though we just talked about 40 minutes.
Yeah,
of spoilers
nobody cares.
There's a bad god that comes in, and he makes me angry. Like, he's in there. He's while Hyakuna is all about spreading positivity and joy. Like, this dude's all about. He's like, why don't you? I'm gonna make your anxiety real, and it's like,
yeah,
what?
like he's just. Yeah, that was a weird one to translate to that line.
Well, no, that was good. That was good.
They'll perpetuate it into the ether. I'm proud of that one.
But it's like he's a little kid too, and
he just wants to he's like not even a troll. He's like less than that. Like, he just like pulls pranks that like make you slightly irritated, basically.
Well, it's like one of his. So it's like while Hyakka goes around planting flowers, he's like stuffing leaves into drainage ditches. Like, that was one of the things. And then it's like
almost adorable how incompetent he is. It's almost like that ponkotsu term we were talking about.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And it's like Hyakka comes up with a plan, and it's like, I know how to stop him, and it's like, just pick him up and throw him over that wall. Like, because it's like, what? Are you serious? And the guy's like, that's what your plan is? And it's like, yeah, whatever. And he picks him up and he throws him over the thing, and he's like, he threw him too far, and he lands.
He slips, and then he like loses his trajectory and throws him into like some kind of drainage creek.
The river. That it's like that creek that you see in every anime where they sit on the side of it.
I don't know if it's that or not.
It looked like it.
It might like go into that. like eventually.
Yeah, but he throws it.
I don't know.
It's like, oh, I hope he doesn't drown, and it's
Yeah. It's like he can't die though because he's like a god. So it's like he just gets like bullied. It's like weird like murder like kind of stuff.
But it's like since it's such a young town, the gods don't have enough power to do anything other than to just like either plant a flower over there or like move some. I think he put like a piece of trash in the road, like not like a candy wrapper, like to
he
cause
put rocks.
anxiety.
He put rocks on a bike path, like on a sidewalk. I don't remember if it actually punctured the guy's tire or not, but
oh, that's devilish.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like
think it didn't, but yeah.
We talked about this a little bit, but it's only 10 chapters long. But I feel like they wrapped up things all right, but they also introduced new things. Even in the final chapter, they introduced new characters.
Yeah.
And they were cool.
The epilogue.
Yeah, and they were coolly designed characters. I was like, shoot, I want to see where this goes. Well, it's like
one of them literally only sleeps. Like that's all it did. Or he had.
Well, it's because it was only there for a couple pages. It was there for like 2 pages. Yeah, but it's like the gods try and make guardian little familiar type deals. Like the dude's picturing those Chinese dog type things that look really powerful. He's like, oh, that'd be awesome, because they and they summon them and they're like tiny little chibi
like
dolls,
6 inch talls. Like they're very
like
tiny.
little chibi things. They were cutely designed though. Something that you'd think like would be a little god deity thing. That was cool. But I was like, why introduce characters at the very end like that? Like now I want to see more. Like where's the sequel? And
it feels like the 2 Guardian girls will return in Avengers 2, but there's no Avengers 2.
Yeah.
Like this is it. It's completed.
And it's like I didn't know this till now, but this is not a new manga. This is one that's apparently a decade old.
There aren't even I was gonna say there aren't digital scans, but I guess there were, because what else did I use?
Yeah, how'd you get
I think these are hand scanned though.
Oh wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I think, because I'm pretty sure there's no digital that you could buy. Pardon any click sounds, but there's an Amazon.co.jp link right in front of me. So yeah, there's no Kindle version, so I assume that there's no digital version. I think this was scanned by someone. What a hero! What a guy! I don't know who he was.
A nameless hero.
A champion.
If you write in, we'll cut you in on the $1 million that we made from scanlating it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Let's see. I think that was pretty much all I had to say about it. I liked it, but I didn't like having to translate all of the explanations and stuff. I thought that was a little bit too verbose.
I liked it, but I didn't like scanlating it.
I don't think I like scanlating in general.
Nobody does.
I'm only doing it because I have momentum now and I can't stop.
It's a labor of love. That's the same with me and YouTube videos, and that's the same with us in this podcast. We're already 5 episodes in. Can't stop now. Gotta go to 100.
Once we start it, I'm okay with it, but there is some inertia just to start recording.
Yeah, well, it takes like more initial energy.
Yeah, and we normally do it on a work day, so it's like, oh, there's my whole evening right there.
Mm-hmm.
But
luckily,
yeah, I mean,
I'm a neat master race, so.
Yeah, master race. So I think this is time enough where we can kind of transition into the teaser, I guess. See, this whole timeline's messed up because theoretically this podcast will probably come out like an hour or 2 before the chapter gets released.
Maybe somebody read the ending of Hyakka and they're like, oh, excellent, the new podcast is out, and they went to listen to it before they even saw that there was another advertiser. Or maybe they looked at the next manga and they're like, well, maybe I'll read it later, but right now we're about to hit on the manga minute, where we're going to give you a sneak preview of what's to come with the new Big Guy for You Scanlations official release, the new manga.
So with this one, since chapter 1, I think I still have like 10 pages left to do, and you've only seen 2 pages of it. I think it's fair to call this more like a manga microsecond.
You hear that, guys? Look at this clever guy over here. Tom, that's cheeky. You cheeky.
All right.
Doing that wordplay.
All right, get out of here. So yeah, this one is called Tsurugi no Nai, which is like, I don't know how you would translate that. Titles are tough, man. It's like
translates to thoughts in space.
I guess you could say like without a sword or something like that, which is
swordless.
Yeah, that's all right. It's there's like some like English title that is nothing like the translation, but it's like on like the page right before the credits page, or excuse me, right before the table of contents. It's kind of like a splash page kind of thing, and I think it says "Brave without a holy sword." So I know
what's the transliterated thing then?
Well, no, that's in English straight up.
So what's the title mean?
I mean, without a sword is how I would say, like tsurugi no nai. I don't know that. No, that no is like
close.
A possessive particle. Yeah, I guess. Except it. So brave, I'm pretty sure is from yusha, which is like hero, which is how I'm translating it in the. I'm not using the term brave. I'm using the word hero, and then holy sword. Yeah, it's seiken. That's holy sword. So
now
that checks out.
I know you're super principled. Is there a way you could work in sword girl into the title?
No.
like because hero without a sword is like, okay, yeah, that's a shonen manga, but we really want to emphasize the fact that there's a cute girls in it.
When people see the title, it will be written as tsurugi no nai. It won't say hero or sword or anything in there. So I mean, it'll just be like any other incomprehensible Japanese thing. Yeah, and I guess we'll talk about that then, because you kind of touched on it. It's so the basic main character is kind of like there's like 7
Dragon
siblings
Balls.
And they're all descendants of like a brave hero of legend or whatever.
King Arthur,
and
Saber.
Basically, yeah. Don't bring fate into this. I don't want to alienate all the fans, but I'm very anti-fate.
You're not a determinist. You're more for free will.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm in
bad...
Fate Stay trash. Yeah, and we'll talk about Astolfo in the trap episode.
I've never even seen it.
I haven't either. Astolfo wasn't in the seasons that I watched. I watched Zero and something else.
I watched the very original before the reboot.
Oh, interesting. That's before my time. So it's those 7 siblings. They're all descendants of the hero, and one of them will have to like pull the sword from the stone, basically, and then they become the new hero to defeat the slumbering demon lord. You know, very basic kind of generic fantasy story.
Basically, the plot of Digimon.
No, not at all. I mean, you got the 7. That's correct. But and the main character, his name is Quiche. They're all named after like food and stuff. It's weird. But he's like a real loser of the 7 siblings. Like he's like not the runt, but like physically he's not the runt, but he's like
the brainlet.
He's a dud. He's like a dropout, whatever kind of thing.
He's the what's the word? Popuko, what was it?
No, Ponkotsu. I know.
Because he's not moe.
He's not incompetent. He's just like lazy and no motivation and stuff. Like I guess he is kind of incompetent. Never mind.
Our readers and including us can relate.
Yeah, it's a very easily self-insertable character, but he harbors great potential.
Oh, like we do. We all do.
Unutilized, yep. And
believe in yourself.
Anyway, it turns out pretty quickly, like 10 pages in or fewer, the holy sword isn't in a stone. It's stabbed inside a girl's head. So like so the visual is like you just see the sheath, or not the sheath, excuse me, like the hilt, whatever
sticking
it is,
out
like
of her
the part
head.
that yeah, like so it's actually like a plus sign instead of a like the normal like 2 horizontal handle thingies. And there's like 4 of them like making a plus. Like you know how Ichigo's sword was the swastika?
Yeah. It was like a 4-dimensional swastika. That's cool.
Yeah, it's like a plus instead of a swastika. And it's just like sticking out of her head. So like this is spoilers for the end of chapter 1, but whatever. Yeah, at the end he pulls the sword out of her head.
Ooh.
And she's like, no, if you do that I'll die. And then I'm sorry, you guys need to read this before you listen on.
All right.
But
so,
it's only chapter 1.
Pause it right now and go read it, and then come right back.
Pause it 20 seconds ago.
We'll be right here. We'll be right here. You go back in time. Just take some forget-me-nots.
Yep.
And go back in time. Well,
doodly do. Back in time. And now that you're back in the present, he pulls the sword out. Everyone's like, oh my god, he's the hero, this loser of all the 7? And then it's like some kid in the crowd who's like standing around. He's like, well, no, look at the sword. And the sword says dud. Like it's like a fake sword that he pulled out. and then it shows the girl. It's like poof, and like another sword just like appears. So he could like pull out the sword, but since he's not like a hero, he can't actually pull out the real sword. So he's like throughout, he'll pull out like other kinds of swords later on, but like
There's
like it was such a charming premise. I was like, yeah, I have to do this one.
That's pretty good. I don't want to ruin it, but that is a trope. Like there's another manga. It's probably not the one I remember, but I think it's like Yakusha no Shinda or something. He's a normal like NPC dude, and the hero comes to visit his town, and he builds traps. That's what he builds, and the hero falls into a spike pit, and he kills the hero. And then they're like, some witch doctor's like, well, you got to be the hero now, and they put his soul, they put that dude's soul into the hero's like decaying body.
Ooh, weird.
But he's still not good enough in soul to wield the Excalibur, so it's like it's a magic sword, so it's like limping. It's like,
oh, that's good.
Yeah, so there's something similar to that. That's
I guess it's a metaphor for the Japanese national
fertility
spirit.
rates.
And it's very relatable to NEETs and such overseas as well.
Sure.
Oh, you know what? The one thing that we touched on earlier, I think this is actually getting kind of a long episode, but whatever. We'll keep going. And
this is our 5-hour episode.
We were talking about puns. Remember at the beginning of this episode, we're like, we don't have enough content to fill out a full episode.
Something like that, yeah. We say that every week.
And it's increasingly less true.
We're just getting that much more entertaining.
We get less focused. Look at me, I'm spending 10 minutes to say, remember that pun we were talking about earlier?
Bart, did we even explain the pun? We didn't explain it.
We saved it until now. We're about to explain it now. So
we're back to Hyakka.
No, this is in the new one.
We have the old pun that we didn't talk about.
Which one? We talked about it.
Isn't that in Hyakka?
The barking up the wrong tree?
Yeah.
No way,
Wasn't
dude.
that there? All right. I'm confused. So in this new manga.
No, that's in the new. So there's an expression, ki no se, and it's kind of like, must be my imagination or you're imagining things, it depends on the context. But it's that kind of vibe, right? He's meeting, the main character, Quiche, is meeting the sword girl. Her name is Loretta.
That's not food.
That would have been good. She's not food, but I think all the siblings are food.
Just change all their names.
Omelet would be a pretty adorable name.
Just start like subtly blonde. Changing words, and like, so we start out as a legit scan company, and then like it's like boiling a frog. Like 20 years from now, the scans will be like completely retarded. Like.
All right, I hate to do another tangent, but I can't pass this up. So back in 2013, after I was looking for a second manga to work on before I found Hyakka, one of my friends was like, oh, dude, one of my favorite artists just started a new manga, but nobody's picking it up. It was some real trash. This guy's into some big trash. If you're listening, I don't know how you found this podcast.
I sent it to him.
You have really bad taste, buddy. It's like absolute trash. Anyway, I was thinking, like, what if I pick that up and just like slowly like start to gaslight him and just like manipulate the whole thing.
I remember this.
Yeah.
We talked about, and this
so
guy
funny.
This guy was I don't think it was a harem, but it was a rom-com, and this dude is like super anti NTR, as we all are, but this guy was into an extent. So I was like, yeah, just do it all normally, and then the last panel, like, I'll Photoshop some together and it'll be an NTR.
The best part is, like, see, since I'm so autistic, even to this day, you're the only person really that knows that I even know Japanese. So
yeah, I know.
Like,
he
would never have suspected me, but it would be specifically designed to like kind of call him out, like everything that he hates. It would have been so good.
You could even drop like subtle hints, like I know you're
so and so.
Yeah. Like.
Well, even saying "buddy" though, that's like a dog whistle, because that's a catchphrase. You could use
like your group slang. Like, just start working it, or like you could start saying something in conversation in person, like using a phrase, and like people start to see it in the.
I guess I could still do that.
And then you could ask him, like, "Oh, so who's your favorite girl from this series?" Or what do you hope happens with it?
Oh no! That would have been so evil, but so worth it. Anyway, this pun was kinose, which is, like I said, it's kind of like, oh, you're imagining things, which is what I would tell him, in fact.
Buddy, what are you talking about?
Oh, it's kinose.
You think the manga is stalking you? What?
So the main character, Quiche, is kind of like, when he's meeting the sword girl for the first time, Loretta. So that's like the holy sword, right? Sticking out of your head. She's like, what are you talking about? he's like kind of interrogating her because it's obvious like there's something wrong with her.
Yeah, you got a big old hilt.
He caught on pretty quickly. He's like poking, prodding, and she's like, Kinose. She's like getting really self-defensive and kind of like reserved, and she's like, oh, you're imagining it. She like creates this little, it looks like a stump with a face and a little like flower bow or leaf bow. Kinose is what it's called. Ki in this case meaning tree and sei meaning spirit. So it's like they take the word Kinose, you're imagining it, which is what she's mumbling, and then through mumbling she spawns this spirit, this tree spirit. There's nothing you can do to translate that pun.
Yeah, it's too it's too enriched and
yeah, it's too terrible.
We both tackled it, and independently, the best we could come up with is you're barking up the wrong tree. I think it's actually pretty good.
Oh, it's terrible. I hate it so much, but it's in there now.
It's in there twice.
Well, and they do say that joke like once or twice in next few chapters.
Excellent.
And then I made the tree, because the tree, all it says is Kinose. It's like a Pokemon, Pokemon it only says its name.
Like Pika Pika, but if Pika also means you're an idiot.
But I took this a step even further into the terrible territory. I remember because you saw it, and I sent you this page, and when I sent it, I said, look what you made me do. Because instead of saying Kinose, it says stuff like, treat me well, like spelled like a tree or
That's
something.
That's pretty good, though.
Like,
I like that. I like treat me well.
And one was like, don't leave me behind or something. That's just
that's good. I like those.
Terrible.
That's moe.
I'm so ashamed.
That's why you don't tell your friends.
That's what it is. No, seriously though, the reason I never tell anybody that I know Japanese is because when I first started, I didn't know. When I first started learning, I didn't know if I would keep up with it.
Yeah. And
I didn't want to be like one of those weeaboos who wears Naruto headbands and says like, "Oh yeah, I know Japanese." Des, you know what I mean? Like,
you mean Disu?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know what I mean though. That kind of guy where he's like. Yeah. Poser doesn't even begin to describe it. Just a weeaboo, I guess. Like a filthy, unapologetic weeaboo of the worst kind. And I didn't want to be associated with those people. And since I still don't think like I'm that good at it, even though I'm like a million years into it, I don't tell anyone. So well, until I'm like fluent, which will be never by my definitions, I'll just carry the secret to my grave.
That's great. I'm going to make sure your tombstone is in Japanese.
I appreciate that. I don't know, unless you had anything else to say. Speaking of death,
I was going to say speaking of death.
No survivors. Yeah, but no survivors.
No, before that, I've got a little corrections corner. Not really corrections, but a little change of pace. No more SoundCloud because they want money to upload this garbage podcast. I mean, best podcast in the world. Japan's #1 podcast.
Yeah, I guess we should talk about where to find us too.
Yeah, so you can find us
podcast.
I'm always preference. I like to listen on YouTube. If you go to YouTube /BigGuy4U, you can find us there, or you can type in the Flight Plan podcast on YouTube, and we're the first result. You can see it because we've got that cool flashy logo. If we also have an RSS feed from anchor.fm /the-flight-plan.
That's how I do it. I do it on Podcast Addict on my phone.
Yeah, if you have an Android, that's a good. I don't know if we get access on iTunes. I think it automatically uploads there, but I'm not sure. Don't count on it because iTunes normally makes you pay money to. And
they want money and info, and I don't want to dox myself to Steve Jobs, the ghost of Steve Jobs.
Yeah, and you don't want to use iTunes anyway. It's a piece of bloated software. It's garbage. Switch to another podcast app, and you will definitely appreciate it. iTunes is garbage. So go.
It's kind of okay on iTunes is kind of okay on the Mac computers. It's okay.
I don't know.
I've never used it on a Windows computer.
It's too bad, and especially if you want to like sync media to it, like you can't go to a directory. You have to like do all this stuff. It's awful. Anyway,
that's true. Yeah, it is terrible. You're right.
You can also find us on gab.ai /BigGuy4U. There you go. And I think that's where we all are. I think that's
yeah. I mean, you could read the manga always on mangadex.com because that's where I upload. But then every site pretty much grabs them, so you could probably read it anywhere, whatever, you know.
If you want to leave a comment that we'll definitely see, you can try Mangadex or YouTube. I mean, we reply to all the comments on YouTube, so you're welcome to drop us a line there.
It's mostly you replying just so the audience
That's true.
knows. We don't have like dash
Yeah,
H like Hillary has on her tweets. So
No, so normally if you're talking to somebody that's not on Mangadex or Gab, you're talking to Aidan. If you're talking
yeah.
on Mangadex or Gab, you're talking to Tom over there. And,
True.
Press 1 or press 0 if you like me the best.
and then don't press anything if you like me the best.
That's what I wanted to say.
You messed it up.
Yeah, I guess I'm not the best. I'm not the best this week.
I'll press
week,
0 just in your honor. You know, it's a pity 0.
Press F.
You're very ponkotsu.
I'm Moe.
Grown man moe. You know, it's a new kind. I'm developing that trope.
Press F to pay respects as we crash our plane.
Press C to crash this podcast with no survivors.
With no survivors.
You know, SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Why
All
did
right.
you stop that beautiful music?
That beautiful music.